it's interesting you mentioned secrets, because I think throughout the book, there's this refrain that I think maybe your father tells you: whatever happens, say that you were born here. They've always lived here. I'm curious how your parents changed when they came to the United States, and if, and what role secrecy played in that.
Yeah, the shift was both overnight and very gradual. In China, my father was pretty rebellious. I mean, he came from a dissident family. He had seen his eldest brother persecuted and imprisoned and tortured for something he wrote about the government. And he hated that kind of authoritarianism with a passion and had a hard time keeping it a secret. And so I had only known my father for the first part of my life as this really outspoken, strident, passionate person who would not go against his principles and his beliefs. And when I was reunited with him after his first 2 years in America, I describe it in the book as feeling like he was smaller somehow, like he had been chipped away, that there was something in his eyes and in his soul that was no longer there. And over time, it became clear to me that this need to keep this secret, again, a secret that hit very close to the heart of his childhood traumas, which was being from a dissident background, being illegitimate, but now in America, just being thought of as unacceptable, unwanted, impermissible. The secret that became the core of his identity, it started to wear away a lot of that rebellious spirit that he had developed over the years of seeing his family persecuted. I think it brought back a little bit too much of what he saw. And as I've gotten older, I've started to understand even more what it must have been like for him to feel, I was born into this unwanted status. I fought my way out of it. I fought my way to the other side of the world. And yet here I am again in this unwanted status. And it got me thinking too, as I learned to appreciate the many sides of my father that I could not see as a child, what secrecy does to all of us, right? We all have these secrets that we learn to guard and hide for most, if not all, of our lives. What secrets tell us at their very core is that there's something to be ashamed of. And specifically, there's something to be ashamed of about who we are. And very few of us make it through childhood and into adulthood without learning that shame. And I think as I've gotten older, that perhaps it's a chief mission of an adult to unwind ourselves from that shame, to separate our identity and our truest self, who we naturally were as children, from that shame that was imposed upon us in society, and that keeps us quiet, keeps our head down, keeps us doubting ourselves. And I am so privileged to have been able to see and learn both sides from my father, and that he had sacrificed so much of who he was to give me that opportunity.